down. We the talk around town. Alex threw the ball to Smokey for a touchdown. It's fourth down and you don't really want no more. We've been winning from the door. You should check the scoreboard. Check the scoreboard.
Welcome back to another episode of the Scoreboard. NFL, we're moving into week 9. So the season's halfway done. And we just finished the trade deadline as well. The rosters are set for the rest of the season. And we're going to have some interesting games here. Smokey, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good. And you know what I wanted to say is I am doing better than the Colorado Buffaloes right now because they took another L this week. And it looks like that prime hype is completely falling off. But to keep it NFL, I'm going to say I'm better than Vikings fans right now because that is a devastating injury. I don't think I've ever seen Kirk Cousins miss a game. I don't recall one ever. He's like the Iron Man, and he's finally out. And they were just getting on track. The Vikings were doing so well, and here we are.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know how that's going to play out, but I doubt a lot of wins are coming up for them.
It does seem weird that suddenly they're on a winning streak and suddenly they seem good. If he wasn't injured, I would have probably had him in the top 5 for MVP this week.
Mm-hmm.
Because how well he's been playing.
Yeah, absolutely. And now if Jaren Hall is going to be starting, I do not feel good about their chances at all.
We'll see about that. They got Joshua Dobbs from the Cardinals as well.
Yeah, true.
Quarterback that can start in the league. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. With them, but definitely a big blow, especially given the fact that the NFC North. I mean, the Lions are doing great, but second spot's wide open, and Vikings seem to be in position to snatch it after a slow start to the season. But before we get into the picks here, I already brought it up, but MVP rankings, for me personally, nothing much changing at the top. I think for the whole year have had the same pick since week 1. I'm still sticking with Tua. How about you?
Oh, absolutely, Tua. I can't really put Purdy in there because of the way the last 3 games have gone, though. But following up Tua, it's the same old guys. Allen, Hurts, Mahomes, and Goff at this point. And Goff almost took his name out a couple of weeks ago, but right now he's thrown his name back in the hat. I do want to say, like you said, Kirk Cousins is out, but another name has thrown his name into the mix. And he's not quite in the top 5 yet, but he could be coming because the team is getting better each week, and that is Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars. They are looking really good right now. I know there was that one interception in the end zone, but other than that, he had a phenomenal game, and he is playing like he should have been playing all season. So if he continues this, he's going to be in the mix by the end of the season for sure.
For sure, yeah. Jaguars are on the real hot streak. There was a few of those guys we haven't mentioned all year that are kind of in that second tier, right? You got your Lamar Jackson, Trevor Lawrence. They aren't quite like in the central conversation for MVP just yet, but they're playing very consistently, and they're looking pretty good. So we'll see how it goes. One game I have for you, as we do every week. Guess the biggest spread, and I can tell you already it's a difficult one coming up for this week. There's not a lot of big spreads this week. I guess everyone already figured that out.
There can't be.
But let's see if you can guess the biggest spread for week 9.
Dude, I really have no idea. I was looking at this and I was like, every one of these games should be a straight up pick 'em. I had so many problems trying to figure out. There's still some that I haven't circled at all because I have no idea who I'm going to pick. All of these games look so evenly matched, and I think it's just a symptom of the parity in the NFL right now. And all the teams that are on the same level just happen to be playing each other this week. But looking through it, dang, man, I wanted to say the Rams and the Packers because the Packers have been playing so bad. But if Stafford's going to be out, we have an issue there. I don't even think Stetson Bennett is still with the team because of his personal issues. So don't know that he's going to be there. I guess, dang, I can't say the Chargers and the Jets because the Jets are playing well considering, yes, that was an ugly game, but it was a weather issue. Oh my God, I really have no clue. I'm going to say the Saints and the Bears, I think, is probably the biggest spread.
Well, I'm going to say this. if we adjust the 3 points for the home team by default, over half the games this week's slate are half a point away, within half a point of being a pick'em. There's so many 2.5s, 3 points. It's crazy. Actually, you're partially right. There's a tie for the biggest spread, and the Saints are the biggest favorite of the week with 7.5 at home against the Bears, and that's not a convincing spread by any means, and that's the biggest one, along with one other, which may be slightly surprising, but we'll get there when we bring it up. But let's get into these picks here, and first thing, we have Titans at the Steelers.
Yeah, the Titans. Oh man, Will Levis comes in and has a phenomenal game. One of the best first game starting rookie games of all time for a quarterback. Like, that was phenomenal. I knew that Will Levis had it in him. I don't know if it's just a fluke because it's his first game, because there was all this talk about how bad he was in preseason and early in practices, early in the offseason. But here he comes in and has the second best quarterback game of all time for a first-time starter, and it happened to be Marcus Mariota, who is number 1 for the exact same team from 2015, I believe it was. But here we are. The Titans are looking good. They put one over on the Falcons. They got lucky, though. They got some help in that game. But like I said, Will Levis looks phenomenal right now, and it makes me really wonder if he's going to keep that up. Steelers are coming off of a bad game, and it doesn't look really good for them if Mitchell Trubisky starts. I think they're saying that Kenny Pickett will still start, even with his issues. But being at home, I would like to give the 3 points to the Steelers, but I want to see where this Will Levis thing goes, where the train ends up. So I will be taking the Titans on the road.
Yeah, I'm also taking the Titans here. They are +3, and I think they should be favored. After last week, of course, I don't want to overreact, but, I mean, Will Levis played close to a perfect game, and if he keeps that up, then, I mean, they might rally back and take the division, or at least compete with Jacksonville after how bad they've looked at the start, and they've had ongoing quarterback problems for a while. Malik Willis didn't seem to be the answer. Ryan Tannehill's kind of over the hill. And if this is it, if this is what he's going to keep doing, then the Titans are a real dangerous team. I think they definitely win this week against a questionable Steelers team that has been overachieving, has been fine, and the defense is great. But Titans win. We have the Germany game here, an afternoon game. Dolphins at the Chiefs.
That's going to be interesting. Mahomes is coming off of a flu game where he did not play like Michael Jordan did in his flu game, that's for sure. He had a horrible game, though. The Chiefs were so down, but it's a symptom of him being sick, I suppose. I don't know if they may have had a better shot at that without Mahomes playing. I don't know if it wasn't really that bad. Man, I don't know, because the Chiefs haven't looked like the old Chiefs. They have been winning games, and they are somewhat dominant, but it's just not the same old Chiefs. On the other hand, the Dolphins are absolutely dominant. They are back after a bad game 2 weeks ago. They come back and stick it to the Patriots. That's who they played. And Tua, like we said, is back on top. This game, this team has the best offense in the league right now, so I will be picking the Dolphins on the road.
This is a tough one, right? So can we technically call it the road because they're playing in Europe, right? Overseas game.
Yeah, true.
I guess technically it might. I don't know how the distribution there is going to be actually, in terms of fans. Right? It's relatively evenly matched. This is a tough one to pick. I'm favoring the Dolphins as well, and I'm going to pick the Dolphins because of the latest showing of the Chiefs. Now, usually we know that Kansas City is not the kind of team to chain back-to-back performances like that where they just completely stink it up, right? That's not normally what they do, but to do it in that fashion against Denver of all teams and to produce absolutely nothing offensively, I mean, they look horrible. And I don't know if they'll recover from that. They'll definitely be better than that. I think they played down to the competition. I think this time they're going to play up to the competition, but the Dolphins may still well be the best team in the league, and they have the MVP front runner, and their offensive scheme is one of the most unstoppable ones in the league. And if Denver can put points on them, I think so will the Dolphins. It's going to be a spectacle. I hope it's going to be a spectacle and a shootout in front of the European audience there. maybe the best overseas game we've had in a while, or best international game I've had, I guess, technically, since the Chiefs took on the Rams back in, like, was it 2017-18 in Mexico City? If you remember that, like, 48-45 something game.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. But it should be a good one. I'm taking the Dolphins to come out on top here. We have the Vikings and your Atlanta Falcons.
Man, I want to be mad at the Falcons right now. I'm so conflicted about this game and how it played out. As we've seen all season so far, the Falcons are usually kind of bad in the first half, and then they pick it up in the second half, and they win or lose on a last-second play. And that's what we saw absolutely again this past week. This team's going to get it together eventually. Taylor Heineke came in at quarterback because Arthur Smith said that Desmond had a concussion at some point in the game, which most people didn't see. A lot of people are theorizing that Arthur is mad that Desmond Ridder fumbled again because he's had that fumbling issue all season, and he just can't hang on to the ball. But Taylor Heineke did exactly what Ridder was going to do and pull a second half comeback. He's done it all season. And outside of the fumbling, Ridder did not have bad stats at all. He was just fumbling, and that's what he seems to do. I mean, he does throw a pick here and there also. Taylor Heineke, I think, gives them the exact same chance to win that Ridder would give. But everybody is in love with the backup quarterback. As football fans, the backup quarterback is always our favorite quarterback, unless you have a superstar, I guess. But the Vikings without Kirk Cousins is not as good, in my opinion. I don't know if we're going to see a Will Levis and Jaren Hall just come in and dominate. It would be my luck because they're playing the Falcons, so we need to get that back-to-back, I guess. I am going to take my chances, though, and stick with the Falcons and watch them probably lose to Jaren Hall.
You know, if this was Kirk Cousins, and given the way the Vikings have won and convincingly dominated offensively the last two games, even without Justin Jefferson, I had to pick the Vikings in a heartbeat, knowing how volatile the Falcons can be. And by the way, the Falcons offered, they took it to the Titans. Given that what Will Levis was producing, they stuck with it, and they had chances until the very end, which is commendable in the sense because they got run over offensively by Tennessee. I'm saying this is going to be too big of a shift for the Vikings here offensively, having to lose their best receiver. Now the quarterback's out. They released Delvin Cook before the season. This is the entire offensive identity is now on the sideline for Minnesota. I think the Falcons can take advantage of that. Whoever be the starting quarterback, Falcons take advantage. They win at home. Lucky break for them, but they're still in good position in the division, and I think they'll be good enough to take this one. So Falcons win at home. We have the Seahawks and the Ravens.
After watching the Seahawks and the Browns last week, I am still under the exact same opinion that even though the Seahawks are winning, they're 5-2 right now, they are not as good as that record. And Geno is not playing up to par. He's not even as good as he was most of last season. He's considerably worse, in my opinion. That team just does not look as good as their record, but somehow Pete Carroll always wins in the end. It's amazing how he pulls that out, even when the team is horrible. But the Ravens, on the other hand, are on a hot streak, and Lamar is getting it back together. He would have had a 3-touchdown day if Gus Edwards didn't take them all, but that's enough about fantasy. I will be taking the Ravens at home because they're just a better team.
Agree. I don't know how the Seahawks have this good of a record. They're like, the third seed in the NFC or something right now? It's just ridiculous. I don't know how that ever happened. I'm saying Ravens get it done, contain the Seahawks enthusiasm a little bit, because I don't like when the Seahawks think they're better than they are. So someone needs to come put them in their place. They're not playing the Niners until later in the season, so Baltimore is the one that has to do it. Ravens win convincing fashion against Seattle. Cardinals without Joshua Dobbs now at the Browns.
Yeah, that's interesting that they got rid of Josh Dobbs, because I saw a report that Clayton Tune is set to start this game, so I'm guessing Kyler Murray's not ready to play at this time, which maybe tells me that the Cardinals are officially in tank mode now. The record indicates that that's probably your best route at this point. You got one win on the season. You're 1-7. The Browns, on the other hand, had a really hard-fought game with the Seahawks, like we just talked about, and somehow the Seahawks always win in the end. Pete Carroll thing, I don't know. The Browns are better than that, though. P.J. Walker or Deshaun Deshaun Watson, if he gets back, it's probably going to be about the same outcome because these two are playing very similarly. So it's a lateral move there if he does. The Browns at home are going to win this one.
See, this is actually the other game with the biggest spread. Browns 7.5 point favorites.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Surprised me a little bit too. But what surprised me even more is the Cardinals. Who trades their starting quarterback in the middle of the season?
Somebody who's tanking.
Does that ever happen? But like a quarterback? I don't ever recall seeing that. A starter, no less. Never seen that before. Very perplexing to me. I was thinking they were going to go Joshua Dobbs for the rest of the year. I think Kyler Murray's done anyway, and then look in a stacked quarterback draft class, which they are going to do anyway. But the fact that they're getting rid of Dobbs, I guess there's nothing really to lose. Might as well try out the backup, right? See if he's got a future somewhere else in next season. But perplexing trade to me. With that, a lot of chaos going on. I think Cleveland gets this one done, so I agree with you. They win at home. No matter who the starting quarterback is, PJ Walker's been doing a good job. So we'll see what they stick with. But either way, the Browns should win this one on the back of their defense. The Rams and the Packers.
Yeah, the Rams led by Brett Rypien. This is the week of the backup quarterback, isn't it? Half these games are going to be starting backups, it looks like. Especially if Heineke starts also. This is going to be ridiculous. But either way, I don't even know if the Packers could beat the Rams with Brett Rypien at this point. Packers are looking horrible. They put on a few points at the end of that game to make it closer than it was because they were getting blown out for that entire game. It does not look good. The Vikings were killing them, and even losing Kirk Cousins, it did not save this game for the Packers. Kind of feel bad for Packers fans at this point. I really don't know what to pick here. You would think with Brett Rypien, you should go with the Packers, right? But I really don't know. The Packers look so bad. The Packers are at home, so I want to give them 3 points. I don't know, man. I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to pick the Rams and say the Packers continue losing.
And that was my limb. I was hoping, because I'm also taking the Rams. I hoped I'd get you on this one, but nope. Packers, they've not looked good. The first 2 weeks of the season, they gave everyone the illusion of, status quo. They're still the same Packers. They're not. And the reality is catching up. This is what it's like. For the first time in 30 years, not have a Hall of Fame quarterback. A lot of rebuilding to do. There's a lot of holes that open up on that team that went unnoticed for very long. Years and years and years, because you had that ultimate security blanket. And I think heads are going to roll in that organization sooner or later because no one's prepared for this. And I think neither were the fans, by the way. Not the fans, not the coaches, coaching staff, not the front office. They've been slacking for a long time, and this is what they get. They've been prophesizing that for years, by the way. So if I could see it coming, maybe someone else could have, but Packers aren't looking good. I'll take the Rams here. As dysfunctional as they are at times, I think the Packers are currently in free fall. So the Rams are winning this one. Bucks and the Texans.
Another tough one, just like all of these. Texans had a horrible game last week. And that was a really low-scoring game, but they finally gave up a win to a undefeated Panthers, which makes them 1-6 now. The Texans fall to 3-4. So it doesn't look good for you, Texas. I wanted to believe into you. I wanted to believe that CJ Stroud was going to pull out some kind of phenomenal rookie season, which you can see that he's still going to struggle at times. And it is what it is. You guys will be better in the future. On the other side, the Bucks played exceptionally well against the Bills. Now, I don't know if the Bills are just getting bad on defense at this point in time, but they almost, that Hail Mary shot at the very end would have actually put the Bucks in contention, but they ended up with the loss. But they are playing somewhat over their heads. I think they are slightly better than their record at this point. This is the opposite of the Seahawks, I think. I think that Baker Mayfield can actually put this one together and beat the Texans on the road.
Difficult game to pick for me. Of course, courtesy of the Texans, there is going to be an 0-17 team. Bold prediction is now officially in the garbage can for another year. Panthers were given that win. Eventually, they were going to. I mean, Bryce Young has to be too good to go 0-17 as a starter, but I was holding on to that for my future guru career. And with that 0-17, I might have had a good shot there, but thanks to the Texans, that's no longer the case. I'll take the Houston Texans to win this one, and the only reason I am is because I have a good feeling that they're a bounce back team. Knowing who DeMeco Ryans is as a coach and the kind of atmosphere he can bring to a team, I think they'll come and play 120% this weekend. And the Bucks are certainly a decent team. I think they're average, maybe up slightly above average. But I think this is going to be a good game for CJ Stroud. I think the Texans defense will come out to play. Texans bounce back. I have a good feeling about it. No really analytics to back it up or anything. I just feel like they don't stink it up twice in a row like that. But they could be wrong about that. But I'm going Texans. Also, in part, I wanted to disagree with you finally on a game so that we have some conflict here. By the way, maybe this is a good time to ask, what is our results from last week? Because we didn't actually talk about those.
We forgot to go through that. We ended up tying because we disagreed on 2 games. The Jaguars and the Steelers, you had the Steelers. The Browns and the Seahawks, you had the Seahawks. Gave us 10 each, bringing our total to 69 for 69 for me, 72 for you.
Okay. Tie, well, never interesting, but 10 points is pretty good, I think, for a week where like a bunch of teams weren't by. Not too bad. Not too bad. Can't complain about that. Well, the goes this week. We have the Commanders at the Patriots.
Yeah, you want to believe that the Commanders' defense is going to be worse, right? Without Chase Young and Montez Sweat, at least the line is going to be worse, that's for sure. So maybe the Patriots will get the run game going, and Ramondre Stevenson will do something here. He had a phenomenal game 2 weeks ago and then had another dud last week. Just pretty much how his season's been going. Commanders, though, looked really good on offense. They really took it to the Eagles, and they should have won that game. They let the Eagles come back at the very end. That's the defense. That's the defensive problem. I don't know why you need to get rid of Chase Young and Montez Sweat. You need more defense, right? Because your offense is actually working right now, and Sam Howell looks good. But at the end of the game, they just couldn't quite get anything going, and they couldn't stop the Eagles, because it feels like somebody just wants the Eagles to be in the Super Bowl again this year. Chiefs and the Eagles. Maybe I should have picked the Chiefs also instead of the Dolphins, but we'll see how that goes. Right here, I think the Patriots are really bad, and I think the Commanders are better than that right now. It is in Gillette Stadium, so that bothers me. I don't know. The Patriots are horrible. I want to believe in the Commanders' offense, but I think this might end up being a shootout without the star pieces on defense. But I will take the Commanders on the road.
This is a tough one. I don't really understand what made them completely sell away their defense suddenly. They didn't strike me as a team that's like bad enough to completely tank, right? The NFC is they're in the race for a wild card spot, I want to say. Like, if they keep doing well, the Vikings just lost their quarterback. The South is neither here nor there. So you really just have 4 teams that you would or 5 teams if you include, I guess, the Lions in the North, that you lock in to be playoff teams. And then there's like very easily a third team in the East could have been a wild card spot there, and that would have been the Commanders. But I don't know what overcame them. I think they had the team to make a push if they kept improving, but they decided to sell everything out. And I guess that means tank bowl. Though they don't even have the need for a quarterback that badly, do the Commanders. So I'm not sure what they're thinking about this one. In this game against the Patriots probably played their 2 best games the past 2 weeks. Obviously, very, very strong win against Buffalo, and then against the Dolphins again. It just couldn't keep up with the offense there. That's a difficult one to pick because of that sellout from the Commanders, but I'll take Washington anyway. I think Sam Howell will be able to overcome it. There's just so much more talent on the offense for Washington. Just New England does not have a capable receiver. Kendrick Bourne, I think, is now hurt. It's looking pretty rough. The Patriots need a lot of draft picks, so I'm surprised they didn't trade away more players. They need to rebuild this offense skill positions, supporting Mac Jones and the offensive line. I'm going to take the Washington Commies to go into New England and win. Bears and the Saints.
Another backup quarterback. Yeah, Tyson. No, Taysom might be starting too. Who knows?
Tyson versus Taysom.
Yeah, that'd be cool to see, right? I'll take Taysom in that. And overall here, the Bears looked bad. We saw them fall back to earth after getting a win with the first start of Tyson Bagent. But yeah, just like everybody suspected, like, this can't be a real thing, right? He's not going to continue this. I mean, the guy came out of nowhere. You said he was a national champion, though, right? Or no, a Heisman winner, right? For
D2 Heisman winner.
Yeah, that's right. But still, you don't see those guys really succeed in the NFL. I don't know. Maybe he put something together here, but the Saints are an overall better team. I don't think Justin Fields is coming back in this one. And as much as I don't like picking the Saints, I have to pick the Saints right here. I'll take them at home.
Yeah, I'll also take the Saints. Bears are one of the teams that are very clearly in the market for a quarterback next year. And I think they'll have the draft position or the draft spot to back that up. I think they have 2 first-round picks, don't they?
Yeah. They could have first and second overall.
They could theoretically have the first and the second. Which makes me think, if you have first and second, do you take 2 quarterbacks?
Wow.
Just either to, like, you can try them against each other, or because even when you have one, the most valuable player for a trade later on is still a quarterback.
True. And do you get rid of Justin Fields first, or do you have a 3-way battle at training camp?
I think if you're picking 2 quarterbacks, you're getting rid of them. But
yeah, get some more picks out of it.
I don't know. I'd get rid of them. If you're taking one, you're committing to someone else, just get rid of them. It's like the Josh Rosen kind of situation, let him go somewhere else. As long as he still has any kind of value, maybe someone will give him a shot. You trade him for what he's worth. But we'll see. We'll see down the line if the Bears do go that route. I have a pretty good idea they will be looking quarterback this offseason. As for the game, though, Saints are going to win. They are the biggest favorite of the whole weekend after all, and they are playing at home. So Bears back to the ground. Didn't look good last week anyways, but they had like this little upswing, but Saints should be steady in here and get this win. Colts and Panthers.
This is another tank bowl, really. I know that Gardner Minshew doesn't want to tank. He wants to go out there and win, and he's trying his heart out. Like, it just didn't go his way last week against the Saints. Taysom kind of ran over him there. I don't know, man. Are the Panthers going to continue their wins, or do we go right back to losing? That was a very ugly game against the Texans. I do think Bryce Young gets better in the future, but it's just a really rough spot that he's been thrusted into. A team that's just not that good, and most of their stars have hit the road also, and they're trying to hold it together with some rookies and a couple really old veterans out there on offense. I guess I'm going to go with the more experienced quarterback in this one, and I will take the Fighting Gardner Minshews on the road.
See, this was meant to be the big Anthony Richardson versus Bryce Young battle, right?
Yeah.
When they scheduled it before the season. Didn't turn out that way now. We just saw Bryce play against CJ Stroud.
Yep.
He won that one. Not Anthony Richardson, though. He's not starting. Yeah, I'll agree with you. I'll side with you. The Panthers won a game. It was ugly. It was bad. But they're still not a very good team, very incomplete team. At least they've gotten the win. They've seen that Bryce Young can get it together and lead a game-winning drive when you needed him to, and he did. But the Colts, to me, I think with Gardner Minshew, they at least have this sense of consistency. They're not world beaters. They won't be if it's Minshew playing, but they're not ever going to be completely terrible either. They've been in most of their games, and they've had a shot in most of their games. I think they will outclass the Panthers here. So Colts win at Carolina. We got the Giants and the Raiders. That's a tank bowl right here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I do want to say that the NFL is strategically placing games like that. That did not happen by accident, because also we saw Tua go against 3 Alabama quarterbacks back to back to back. So they are definitely planning it out for it to go that way. But
they might.
Dude, the Giants had the worst game I've ever seen in my life against the Jets. I watched that game, and I wish I didn't. If you love defense, you would be in love with that game. The weather was horrible, though. And what was that, like, they set a record for the most punts in a game or something? It was just ridiculous, man. Oh, God, I was ready for that game to be over. But But the Giants came out on
and it went to overtime, obviously.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. DeVito is out there on quarterback, man. That's their third stringer. Like, this team cannot win. Unless Daniel Jones is coming back, they're not going to win this one either, even though the Ravens are nothing to get excited about. The Raiders have to win this one if it's Tommy DeVito at quarterback. Another backup. Here we are. I'll take the Raiders at home.
What's the year of the backup quarterback?
It is.
It's insane how many of them. Yeah, I mean, the Giants had the game locked up, right? And then they miss a field goal, give up two huge passes to Zach Wilson. The Jets kick the field goal to go into overtime, and they just do the same thing again in overtime to win and steal it away. One of the worst battles of New York we've ever seen.
Yes.
One of the worst we could have possibly seen. Man, the Giants team is plagued by injury to the quarterback position. Since Daniel Jones has been out, they've been extra sucky, and they haven't started the season well to begin with. So I'm going to give this one to the Raiders, even though they're not that great either, but at least they have some dynamic players. Offensively, Devontae Adams, defensively, Max Crosby, that can make game-changing decisions. There was a lot of noise about Devontae Adams potentially being traded before the deadline. Didn't turn out that way. You have Jimmy Garoppolo, a quarterback who is perpetually one play away from missing for a month because of injury, and that's not a situation you want to permanently live in. So potentially also look on the market for a new quarterback next year, but see how it turns out there. Raiders win at home against the Giants, and the Giants have a big hole to dig themselves out. I haven't seen a team come up so quickly and then fall down again. Like last year, the surprise playoff run, even won a playoff game, and then they just turn around and everyone has high expectations and they fall off a cliff. So some soul searching to do there for sure. But I'm taking the Raiders to win. Cowboys and the Eagles.
Oh, man, I feel like this game's going to get ugly. There's some bad blood between these two teams, and it feels like it's going to boil over in Philly for this one. Because, there's a lot of Cowboy fans in Philly, and they're going to have it out there in the stands, I'm sure, because that's how it happens in Philly. I really don't know who to pick here. Both of them are coming off of wins, and both of them at times this season look like world beaters, and both of them have stumbled this season. I guess I'm just going to call this one a toss-up and give 3 points to the home team and take the Eagles, but I really don't know who's going to win this.
I'm actually very confident in the Eagles winning this one.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I am. Because the Cowboys are really good against mediocre teams, right? They can run up the score on people. They can look dominant. Cowboys are the kind of team that do not match up well against equal or better competition. And the Eagles are. The Eagles do. The Eagles are a scrappy team. The Eagles will not get blown out by anyone. The Eagles are actually liable to choke a little bit or play down to their competition against bad teams like we've seen them do against the Jets. But the Cowboys are the kind of team that actually, they don't show up at all when the chips are really on the table. That's been their sort of consistent history. That's been Dak Prescott's consistent history, and his biggest criticism is he comes up the smallest and the biggest moments. He's been doing that very consistently over his career, and with that, this is a big moment. This is a huge moment. This is for the 1 seed at the moment, if provided the Lions are on a bye week. So this is for the 1 seed in the NFC in some way. So I actually have a lot more faith in the Eagles in this one. So Eagles win this one convincingly, I believe. It's not going to be too close. I don't see this being an evenly matched one, an evenly matched game. The record will tell you that, but I do not believe it with Dallas. I don't believe it with Mike McCarthy. I don't believe it with Dak Prescott, and I don't believe it with the frankly stat patty defense that is really good at exploiting weaknesses, but are not made to play against equal competition. That's also why I don't see the Cowboys to be a deep playoff team at any point, no matter how many stars they add to that roster. The Bills and the Bengals on Sunday night.
Yeah, you really hate the Cowboys.
I do. They're not good.
Well, here's two teams that have stumbled, but they are supposed to be good, and they have played good lately. The Bills almost gave it up. Like I said, if that Hail Mary would have went through, it would have been a different story. But here we are. The Bills are 5-3, and the Bengals are coming off of a win over the 49ers, which is becoming more and more common. But we'll talk about the 49ers next week. But the Bengals look like they are getting back into form. Like this is the team they should be. They have all the pieces to do this, and here we are. Makes this one really tough. And since the Bengals are playing so well, I feel like they're pretty evenly matched with the Bills right now. All of these games are evenly matched, if we haven't said that enough already in this show. I'm going to give 3 points to the home team. I'll be taking the Bengals at home.
Yeah, who would have thought that we seriously debate taking Cincinnati over Buffalo? But seeing how spotty the Bills have been is a very good argument for it. And Bengals are on a major upswing. I mean, they started the season horribly, which they seem to do every year, by the way. And we write them off. We say, they can't be good. They suck. This is the year they fall off. It seems to never happen. They always just come back. Of course, this year they're in a pretty strong division. With every team, I believe, having winning records at this point. So they have a little bit deeper of a hole to dig themselves out of. But they're perfectly capable of doing it if they play the way they have been for the past few weeks. They are going to. So I also take the Bengals to win at home against Buffalo. And the Bills are going to find themselves in limbo at some point because, they don't face a lot of competition outside the Dolphins divisionally, but they are losing sight of that number one spot, and they will not have home field advantage in the playoffs the way it's going right now. So Bengals win here, and the Bills have some digging to do in the future. Monday night, we have another game that was supposed to be an epic showdown before the season when Aaron Rodgers was on the schedule. Yet another primetime game for the Jets, this time hosting the Chargers.
Yeah. I mean, this one's going to be tough also. This feels like a low-scoring game because the Chargers' offense hasn't been exactly firing on all cylinders. They played the Bears. That's something with playing the Bears that they were able to put up 30. And the Chargers have really struggled this year, and they should be way better than what they are. Phillip Rivers just can't get it together. I don't know. But the Jets, they're going to rely on their defense, obviously. We saw that 10-13 game, and the offense was doing next to nothing outside of maybe a few Garrett Wilson plays that looked decent. But this is another tough game because who do you go with? The offense that should be good or the really good defense that's led by a horrible offense? I don't know. I feel like this might be another 13-16 game or something. I'm going to go with the team that should be better. That should be better, and that should be the Chargers. I'll take the Chargers on the road.
That should be better is true. The Jets actually have a better record at the moment.
They do.
Somehow, by some mystery, the Jets are absolutely hanging in there. I mean, Zach Wilson's been playing better than he has last year. And I don't know if the NFL is will soon start adjusting their script in that direction, and they see Aaron Rodgers getting ready to play in the postseason, and then this is the whole out of nowhere with the steel chair kind of situation coming up for the Jets. But they're a game away from usurping the Buffalo Bills, I believe, in that division. And if the Bills lose this one to the Bengals just the night before, I think the Jets will come in with extra motivation. However, my ego also tells me to take the Chargers because I picked Justin Herbert to be the MVP before the season, not knowing how bad their defense was going to be. I also am the one who put Justin Herbert back in the voting for MVP this week, and I only get to pick 4 players to put him up there, and Justin Herbert was the third one that made the cut. By the way, if you want to vote for your MVP, if the season ended today, you can do that on our channel page. Poll is out right now. I put Justin Herbert in there, which was a tough debate, and I'm expecting him to continue on the pace that he set last week and make a serious run for that title. Not to mention that they also have to clinch the playoffs at some point, so they'll have to start winning games. This is a must-win game for the Chargers, especially since Aaron Rodgers has been out. Every game is a must-win when you play against the Jets, but they have a good defense, but this is one the Chargers have to have, so they get it done at New York. I am surprised though that they are favored. Actually, they're 3-point favorites at New York. That's already adjusted for home field. Even though they are just the worst team record-wise.
Yeah. Well, like I said, they should be better. So I think Vegas is going off of that. They should be better. Yeah, people
just a quarterback bonus, just a Justin Herbert bonus.
Absolutely.
So we'll see how that goes. We have the Broncos on bye, the Lions, Jaguars, and the Niners on bye. Couldn't have come at a better time for the Niners. Broncos actually off a win, and the Jaguars and Lions feeling pretty good.
Yeah, I feel like the guru we've been talking about, the Gematria guy, was 3 weeks early on his prediction of the Broncos beating the Chiefs because they finally did it after so long. So I'm sure they're happy about that, but it doesn't necessarily make the Broncos a good team beating the Chiefs. It was.
Oh, but he'll find a reason that it was this week, right? Like, didn't he say something about the Denver airport? Didn't he have some conspiracy there?
Yeah. He talked about the Denver airport. He talked about revelations about the horsemen of the apocalypse. You know, the Broncos horses riding in on a white horse, and death comes, and death of the golden boy or whatever. It kind of happened a few weeks later, though, because Mahomes was sick and they got destroyed in that game. So he was kind of right. He was just a few weeks early. So I don't know. I haven't listened to him since to see if he tied it in somehow. But
oh, I got this. I have this one figured out, right? So here's what happens.
Okay.
The Chiefs got cursed when they landed in Denver at the airport. Because what is the Denver airport built upon? An Indian burial site. And guess who the Chiefs, what kind of peoples do the Chiefs represent? The Native Americans. That's right.
Wow.
So the Chiefs, they landed in Denver. They were cursed by the curse of the airport. And the Broncos put one over. Couldn't have happened in Kansas City because they hadn't been to Denver yet. They had to land in Denver first. And then it happened.
Dude, I wonder if 3 weeks ago he thought it was... Well, he did mention a pale horse, so the Broncos would have been wearing their white uniforms on the road. So I guess he knew
Plus
that.
their logo is a pale horse.
yeah, exactly. So I don't know, man. Maybe he's onto something. I don't know.
I'm sure he is. Yeah.
Oh man. Either way, I need to figure out these things before they happen so I can make some money, though. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that's true. But whenever he gets one that we can tie into some kind of way that at least justifies getting his picks for the next week again, just to see.
Yeah.
So I think this week we should pay some attention and see what he's got to say.
Yeah, definitely.
He had one figured out, and the Chiefs looked like they were cursed. They played in a cursed way last week. Nothing going right from the start. They got beat up. Didn't lead for a single second that game. Who knows? Interesting ideas for sure.
Yeah.
That's our picks. How many do we disagree with?
Only one apparently, right? You picked the Chargers for the last game, right? Or
I did pick the Chargers.
Did you pick the Chargers or the Jets?
I picked the Chargers.
Okay.
Was there not? I think there was one or two we disagreed, right?
Well, we got the Bucks and Texans. You picked the Texans.
Right.
And
I picked the Texans.
I think that's the only one.
Did you pick the Packers or the Rams?
I picked the Rams, and so did you.
Okay, so did I.
You picked the Colts, the Raiders, the Eagles, and Bengals, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's the only one.
Yeah, so one of us is going to gain a point this week.
No, that's fair. That's good. Looking at college here as well. I got some good games this week. I don't really have to ask you this, but you're still on the Georgia train, I'm assuming.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. They had a phenomenal win over the old rivals, Florida Gators, and it was a great win. They totally dominated them. Actually, the very first drive that the Gators had, they went right down the field and scored, and it looked really bad, but Georgia came back and answered, and then answered again, then shoved the Gators into the dirt and stomped on them a little bit, stomped a mud hole in them and walked it dry in the end. And yeah, that was a really good win. Georgia is back at number one in most polls, even though a lot of people want to say Ohio State is. A lot of people are staying away from Michigan because of the cheating scandal that's going on, but the AP still has them at number two. I want to say something, though, about one of your picks recently. I know every time you get on board with one of these teams, they end up taking a loss.
I'm cursing them. I'm cursing teams.
You are. So you should probably get on board with Ohio State or Michigan or Florida State next. That would
I guess
that would really help Georgia out and probably help Alabama out in the end also.
That's true. Yeah, the Alabama thing, right?
But here's the thing: Oregon is still one of the best teams in the country. Even though they lost to Washington, I think they end up winning the Pac-12, and I think they make it into the playoff. That team is really good. They stumbled that one time in a really close game where whoever scored last was going to win, and Michael Penix was just good enough to do that to them. They've gotten even better since then. This Oregon team is really good. They are stomping teams out again. I would not be surprised to see them back in the playoffs this year. Hasn't happened since the very first playoff. Or no, was it? It may have been the second. No, it was 2014. Yeah, that was Marcus Mariota versus Jameis Winston. So hasn't happened since the very first college football playoff that ever happened. And here we are back again. So I think they can make it this year.
So the Oklahoma train has stopped.
Yes.
That is done for.
Yeah, the Sooners.
I saw that game live, and that was wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not as good as their record would indicate either. They struggled to a non-Power 5 school last week, and here they are with a loss to Kansas this week. It did bump Kansas up into the top 25 this week, which I don't know that they really should be there, but hey, they're 6-2. It is what it is. Yeah, Oklahoma is on a downswing at this point in time.
Definitely. So I'm kind of counting them out. We have the top 5, and then we have 7 total undefeated teams.
Mm-hmm. Including Air Force.
Including Air Force and then James Madison. So I'm still holding out for one of those two to make it undefeated. And then what do you do?
Man, I don't know. Right now, Air Force is sitting at 17, and James Madison is at 23. I feel like that's kind of a pity number for them. They're like, guys, we got to put them somewhere, right? They're undefeated, but
they have lost.
But they
haven't lost.
Let's see. Number 25 right now is Kansas State. They would hang 40 on James Madison, and they would hang at least 20 on Air Force. Like, I don't.
20 is fine. I can hang with that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm saying they'll win by 20. James Madison, they'll beat by 40. I don't know. I kind of would like to see it though. I liked when Cincinnati got in there with Desmond Ridder. It was fun to see, and they actually hung. They held their own. They didn't win, but it wasn't a bad game. And UCF missed out in 2017, which everybody said they should have been in. But they went on to a bowl game and beat Auburn that year, so they claimed themselves national champions. So they did not win. That was Alabama won that year, I believe. Yeah, that was Alabama over Georgia. But UCF claimed their national championship for that year because they went completely undefeated at 14-0.
I'm waiting for one of these. I'm not getting on any of their bandwagons because I don't want to curse them, because it will if I do. But I'm just pointing out they're undefeated. Air Force in particular has a very winnable schedule left. They're playing Army now. Yeah. They're 2-6. They suck. They're gonna make sure they're winning that one big. They're gonna keep climbing up the ranks because all those top teams they're playing tougher competition now. All the big games are coming up, and all those one-loss teams, they lose another one. I'm talking Penn State, Ole Miss, even Alabama, Texas, they lose another one. When is the point that Air Force starts climbing up above those teams?
I don't know, man. Maybe they will. I mean, I don't know. Like you can't deny them forever if they do have a 13-0 season. Or I'm not even sure how their championship game works. Do they even play a championship game?
I don't know. I'm not sure. The Mountain West.
Yeah, I mean,
conference.
If they're in Mountain West, they have to play though, right? Because I know some of the Armed Forces teams aren't even in a division.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing so. So whoever their runner-up is for the Mountain West, they'll have to play them. Yeah.
And win.
Yeah.
Probably.
I mean, hey, if they win and there are other teams, like, let's say, Georgia, Michigan, Florida State, and Washington, all in the season undefeated. There's no way they're getting in, obviously. But if we see one or two losses for Ohio State, maybe Michigan takes a loss. Maybe they split 1-1. Washington's might end the season with 2 losses in the end, and then they'll be trying to figure out should we put Oregon in or should we put Air Force in?
That's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Who do you put?
I don't know. It may be where, so if they went out completely, they just send them to a New Year's Six bowl. Like, here's your reward for going undefeated. And if they do it again next season, then they make the playoff.
Oh, that might be.
That's how Cincinnati got in.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Could be, but I don't want to declare a bandwagon this week because I'm gonna curse a team. But actually, you know what? That's a good power to have. I'm declaring the Washington bandwagon.
Here we
try
go.
to get the Ducks in. After all, not that I have anything in particular against Washington, but they're playing USC, underachieving themselves, but they have a tough schedule. They're playing ranked teams 3 back-to-back weeks. So I'm officially declaring the Washington bandwagon, though of course that is not actually my intention. But we'll see how things go.
Don't you dare!
The Alabama train hasn't stopped.
Don't you dare ever get on board with Georgia. Just do me
I
that
wouldn't
favor.
even consider that a bandwagon anymore. Like I feel like undefeated. They've been ranked number 1 all year. That's not a bandwagon at all.
Yeah, true.
I have to pick one of the non-favorite teams, I guess.
Yeah, that's
but
true.
we will see how it goes. Do you have anything else to add to this week?
No, I think
in the
that's
NFL. In particular?
I think that's it for this week.
Then I'd like to once again remind everyone to go vote for your favorite to win the MVP on our channel page. Drop us a like, leave us a comment on this video. Let us know what you think about the most recent NFL trade deadline. Who improved, and how do you explain the Washington fire sale on the defensive line for some reason? Let us know your picks for this week as well, and we'll see you in the next one.
Deuces.
Check the scoreboard. Ha.